Welcome to the Connectable podcast.
The Connectable podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
You want to start it off?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, look at that. The single gun. All right. Mixing things up today. You're introing the podcast. You throw out the single gun. All right. Go ahead.
I'm just enjoying the quality of my video here.
Me too.
I was saying before we hit record, I was telling Josh that I'm going to bill him for me getting a new laptop to record.
And I said, no.
This picture is great. No, I needed a new laptop. It's been 10 years. I think we talked about it on the last podcast, on the last episode. But anyway,
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually why I got my current computer, because I have an iMac, and that's what I'm using right now. But when we first started, I was recording on my MacBook Pro, and that was about 11 years old. And yeah, I got it when I was in college, my last year of college, because I wanted to buy one through the Sac State student store because it was significantly cheaper doing it that way. So I'm like, if I'm ever going to do this, this is the time. So it lasted me a long time.
Nice. Yeah. I found this. I have a MacBook Air at Costco because I'm like, I just need one that has a camera and internet. I don't need whatever the Pro, everything else, all the features. I'm like, I just want the most simple one, but I love it. It's cool so far.
They are really nice. Yeah. I'm not a computer guy. I know people have their opinions on, Mac or PC. Yeah. I'll say this, Macs are so I feel like Macs are meant for a person like me. That's not a tech person. It's way simpler.
Oh, well, it's funny. So I was Samsung and Android for a long time. And my last laptop was Samsung. And everyone was saying like, oh, switch to Apple. It's actually easier. And in my brain, I'm like, no, I don't know it. Like, it's not going to be easier. I actually love my iPhone, and I'm not dumping on Androids or anything. They work just fine. And I really liked it, but I'm getting used to this MacBook still. It still trips me out. I have to find my Google Chrome browser a million different steps. I must be doing something wrong. So I got to play around with it. But I like it so far. It's cool.
Awesome.
So I've joined the dark side. So anyway, this episode, we're going to talk about Thanksgiving stuff.
Yes.
I had no segue into Thanksgiving.
That's okay. So you could say you're thankful for an awesome co-host. You're thankful that I do so much work on this podcast and you just come in and show up. I mean, you could say like a million things. I can make a list for you.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. See how easy this is, everybody. If for some reason Deb decides not to do the podcast with me one day and someone's out there looking for a co-host, she's super agreeable, as you can tell. So she's like, yeah, whatever. We'll show up. We'll talk. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as all I have to do is open my laptop, sit there and talk. That's great.
See, perfect. I did, I was thinking about our last episode and I said that I didn't make fun of you, which I think is for the most part true. Maybe one time, but I did give you a compliment on one of the episodes.
Oh,
so there's that. Yeah. I know it's weird, huh? Yeah.
It's like a different direction. It's like,
crazy. I know. It's like something fishy here.
Yeah.
No, I think I was just saying, I forgot what episode it was, but like this, I was basically saying that you're a great conversationalist and that this would not work if you weren't, you know what I mean? Or if one of us wasn't, or if both of us weren't. Yeah. Can you imagine just start a podcast like neither one of us wants to talk.
No,
like
yeah.
Sit here. So yeah, look at that. See, I'm turning, maybe it's just the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Turning a new leaf. Look at that.
Turning a new leaf. It's not going to last. But
being a dad has made you soft. I think that's what it is.
That's probably true. Probably true. I'll tell you what, yeah, exactly. I think it definitely does because I was talking, this is quite a while ago, but I think I was talking to Trav Cole, when we did the Father's Day episode. There's times now where I'll see a commercial on TV and there's times like, you could feel the waterworks starting. It's like, what is going on here? But it like involves like a parent and a kid. And it just, some of those commercials are brutal. And then some of those movies that, involve that type of stuff that are a little bit more tragic. Yeah. Brutal. Really, it can get me for sure. It's just
think about life in a different way.
I think so. And you can't escape it. That stuff pops up everywhere. So that's just what happens. It's just what happens when you become a dad. Yeah. So
you cry on this episode. It's fine. No one will.
I have nothing to cry about here. We'll be good. except for the fact that like if I think about it too much, the quality of your video might bring a tear to my eye because it's so much better. Um, yeah, so much better. And I also want to point out, if anybody's watching the video, which I know most of you don't, because there's like 5 views on all of our videos, not a big deal, but we put a lot of work into this and no one watches the video. But that's okay. That's beside the point. If you are watching the video, or if you're not watching the video, I guess you'll notice that Deb has a very, very blue theme today. It's on her sweatshirt. There's a blanket behind her, and she has the 3 pictures behind her. Look at that. Really, really stepping it up. Better camera.
They're always there. I know, better camera. You can see the colors better. Well, teal and blue, those are my colors. These are my school colors. So I'm matched on accident today. But my living room decor matches very nicely. Yes.
It does. So I don't think we can normally see the blanket behind you. And like I said, I don't know if you normally wear the shirt that color, but there's a theme. Mine's black. Mine's just dark in here. Black and orange. So anyways, that's enough sidetracking to start out. That's not even really a sidetrack, is it? That's just
us being normal.
We never got on track in the first place.
Exactly. Yes.
So like you said, Thanksgiving. We're doing a little Thanksgiving episode, which is always fun. It's always fun when we have a themed episode, So I think you mentioned
for us. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely have some questions. This will be maybe a little bit more structured than we've done in the past, but yeah, we have some questions from Instagram. Have some fun Thanksgiving themed questions, and then we also have a couple of stories from, I mentioned it last time, the Reddit thread, "Am I the a-hole?" which is a lot of fun. I found some good ones, and we'll go through a couple of those, and then just in general, just talking about Thanksgiving. I know we did in the last episode, but what's interesting? I want to get your thoughts on this. So so let me start with this question first. Are you a Thanksgiving or Christmas person?
Ooh. Like which one do I like more?
Yeah.
I guess that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say Christmas because I feel like that's the typical answer because Christmas is bigger. But I honestly think that I am more of a Thanksgiving person, like just barely tipping the scale. I really Thanksgiving a little more. I don't know if it's because there's not so much buildup and it's just like a more not casual thing, but more like a one day thing. I feel like Christmas lasts for like 2 or 3 months, man, like the month leading up to it, the whole month of December. And yeah, I feel like, I think in the past couple of years, I think it's been Thanksgiving.
Interesting. So I think I would still lean towards Christmas. I'll say, I take that back. I definitely lean more towards Christmas, but on a podcast a couple of years ago, I heard someone say something really interesting about Thanksgiving and why they preferred that. And I thought, that's an interesting take because I had never thought about it this way, but it makes a lot of sense. And they were saying that obviously there's the lead up to Christmas, but once Christmas hits, then everything like changes. You're back to normal, right? You kind of go into the new year.
Magic is gone.
Right, exactly. And once it's done, it's done. But with Thanksgiving is basically the kickoff for the Christmas season. And they said, so even when you're done with that, then you have this whole nother thing that you get to look forward to. And that's why it's kind of fun on Thanksgiving, because you get all this awesome food. If you love football, there's football on TV, you get together with family. And then even though that day ends, there's like a whole nother month of like festivities and things to do. So I'm like, that's an interesting take. I had never thought about it that way. I still prefer Christmas, but that has made me look at Thanksgiving in a different way, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I think that's probably, I didn't say that reason, but that makes sense that's probably why I like it better as well. Cause it's like you said, a leaning into it. Although like, I don't particularly love the rush and bustle of the holiday season. It stresses me out. I usually just stay holed up in my apartment like a hermit crab because I'm not going out there. But maybe I think that's another reason why I like Thanksgiving too. And it's not so commercialized. Thanksgiving is more like get together with family, eat food, talk or think about the things you're grateful for. Christmas, sometimes can be just too commercialized and too much about the gifts, about the presents, not all the time, but I love them both. But I want to say Thanksgiving takes is like 1 point ahead.
Yeah, I completely get that. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the same boat as you as well. Yeah, it's a fun time. I remember I used to go up to, we would go up for years. We would go up to Newcastle to see my aunt and uncle and my cousins. And that was always cool, just because, especially as you get older too, you begin to appreciate some different things. And like when you're younger, you're just so excited to get there and you're not really thinking much about taking the entire thing in. But now that I'm older, anytime we go up there, because it is Newcastle, you're driving through some really pretty areas to get there. And it just feels like Thanksgiving weather. Usually it feels like you're in the environment with like all of the orange and yellow and red leaves. You know what I mean? Like you just take the whole thing kind of like in the countryside, and it is a cool thing. And so as you get older, I feel like you appreciate, you're thankful for some of those things, even as, I think you just take in more of it. And that's probably like what you're saying about Christmas. You take in a lot more of the Christmas stuff too, but with that is, like you said, the commercialization of it, the presents, the rush. It's more stressful in some ways for some people when you're doing all of the shopping and the craziness, and you're trying to go to holiday parties and you're trying to figure out connect. It's a whole thing, but we'll have to do a Christmas episode at some point. But yeah, no, I really enjoy Thanksgiving. Like I said, for me, like I love football. I love the Thanksgiving food.
Oh yeah.
And I know that we have some questions about the Thanksgiving food, but it's just a fun thing. And we've always, like, my family's always kept it pretty, I guess it depends on how you view like the size of families. I mean, usually it's maybe at most like 12 people. So it's not a huge gathering, but it's not small by any means either. And I know last week you had mentioned you're actually doing you're doing two Thanksgivings, right? One.
Yeah.
Or you just did one.
I did one already. And then did the day of Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's fun too. Like you get Thanksgiving twice. That's not bad.
I know. I love it. It's great.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you have a pretty small family. Is that right?
So I have a small immediate family.
Right.
I just have one sibling. I have a sister, and then I have my dad, and then I have a stepmom. Because in previous episodes, and especially if anyone listening has listened to our Character Calm Mind episode, I talk about my mom passed away when I was in high school. So, but I have a stepmom. And her side of the family opens up a bigger, opportunity for just more people. So, my immediate family is very small, but I have a big family on my stepmom's side.
Yeah.
I gotta count 5 nephews and a niece just on my stepmom's side. And then she for Thanksgiving, there was a tradition started as soon as my dad married her. And gosh, this was like 11 years ago. We had Thanksgiving at my dad and my stepmom's house. But it was basically just me and my sister and my sister's significant other, and then her whole side of the family. But it was so fun because there was just so many people. I mean, it was a tradition that they had already started. So with her immediate kids, their kids, her siblings, their kids. So they have aunts and uncles and cousins. I mean, it's just a huge, huge thing. So I think growing up, I had small Thanksgiving gatherings, or we would go to cousins' houses on my dad's side, and we would have a bigger gathering. But so it just depends on where I'm going. Like one year, I stayed home for Thanksgiving, and my sister came over to my apartment, and that was it. And it just every year, I feel like every year is different. Last year during COVID, I did not go home at all. I had a Friendsgiving at the house I was living in, and it was all of what we like to call the misfits of Thanksgiving. No one could go home, so everyone who couldn't go home came over to the house, and I think it was like 15 people. So every year is different. I feel some are smaller than others, but this year I get 2 Thanksgivings. I already had one with my immediate family at my sister's a few weeks ago. Got to spend time with my nephew. And then I'm going to go to my dad and my stepmom's house, and not so many people on her side are going to be there this time just because of COVID and all that. But I'll be able to see my stepbrothers and my nieces and nephews there. So
awesome. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Are you the fun aunt? Because I feel like, I was going to be honest, and my mother-in-law listens to this, Paula. If I'm wrong, you can tell me. That's fine. I can take it. I'm a big boy. but I kind of feel like I'm a fun uncle. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest. I'm a fun dude. You may
You're
not
the one
think
who
so.
plays with all the kids.
Oh yeah, get them riled up. I have a good time, and I definitely have claimed my spot. I told my wife, I said, hey, like, once the kids get old enough to like sit at their own table, like, I'm going there, right? Because that's where I belong. I
Yeah.
don't belong at the grown up table. You guys all know that, and no one's gonna admit it, but they all know that Josh should probably be at the kids table. So, are you the fun aunt?
I feel like my nephews and I feel like they're more fun than I am. I feel like they're the ones trying to, they're all hyper and they're trying to play with me, or I'm just kind of sitting back and watching. And there's so many of them that they just kind of play with each other. And
Okay.
it's great because I get to sit back with my glass of wine and I'm just watching everything. Very entertaining. My dad is actually the playful one. So he's the fun papa. My dad does all these makeshifts like toys in the backyard. Like
Oh, nice.
they have a riding lawnmower because
Okay.
they have a pretty big open backyard. And he one year, I don't know if he's still doing this, but he attached a giant flat cardboard, like flattened box to the back of it. So he's riding it and they're literally surfing on the back of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he'll do like games and stuff. So my dad is way more fun than I am. I just kind of sit back and watch, and I'll jump in every once in a while if they are like, oh, come out here. But it's more so entertainment for me for sure.
Oh, there you go. I guess that makes sense because Thanksgiving break is kind of a break for you from hanging out with kids, which you do every day of the week. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. One of my high school kids asked me, do you have any kids? And a different kid who already knows me looked at that girl and said, no, she has all of us. Why would she want kids? It was great.
Yeah.
Answered your question.
There you go. You don't have to answer these crazy questions. The kids got your back. That's good. So I wanted to ask you this, and I typically I would ask you this ahead of time. So if you don't want to answer this, please feel free. But I think you kind of already alluded to it already. But obviously, you had mentioned your mom's situation, the passing of your mom. Obviously, the point. I don't want to take this into a crazy serious place, but like the reality of it is, like, this is our goal, is to get connected with people, and hopefully the things that we're talking about, you may not connect with everything, but hopefully there's something over these last 53 episodes that you've connected with at some point. And I think one of the things that people might be able to connect with right now, as we're entering this holiday season, is the loss of a loved one, whether it's a friend or family member. And that can be a really difficult thing. I mean, I know, it was like 12 years ago, maybe. My grandpa had fallen off of a ladder. He hit his head, and just wasn't the same. And they had to, he was in a wheelchair at that point, and it was just a completely different person. And they just knew it wasn't very long going into the holiday season. So, I mean, it changed everything. Some normal traditions that we would do, we flipped, around because we wanted to spend time with him, and it just looked a little bit different. That was incredibly difficult. We were grateful that we had the chance to spend that time with him throughout the holidays, because he passed shortly after, but still really, really difficult. And then I remember how weird it was that following holiday, when he wasn't there and you're used to seeing him. So obviously this type of stuff happens, and it can be really difficult for people. So obviously you've had to go through that. It was a little while ago, but you've had to go through that. So I guess, what are some thoughts you have for people who maybe this is like their first year going through it, or maybe it's just a really recent thing and they're really struggling? Like, what advice would you have? I'm sorry to put you on the spot with such a serious question, but like I said, I feel like, as much as we joke around the show, I do feel like something like this is really important. And, unfortunately, you have firsthand experience with this. So I can't think of a better person to ask this question to. So all that being said, I'm going to shut up now, but what's your, what are maybe some thoughts or advice, or like just anything for someone who's not the same situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. Just because the holidays are so rough with, just a lot of things, like, I mean, not only death, but just people who are disconnected from family too.
Yeah.
Like that's all, like I've never had I'm just going to go off a side note really quick. I've never had that experience to where I'm disconnected from my mom or my dad, or I don't know, whoever was close with you in your life and is not anymore. Some people have described it to me as worse than a death. So there's that too. So anyway, that being said, with that, or if someone who actually has passed away, because this is going to be I think my 17th year for the holidays without my mom. So it's taken a while, but for me to figure it out. But I mean, I get, my advice is if it's a death, I'll speak to that since that's what I know.
Sure.
I would encourage people to do your best to, first of all, don't suppress, like, don't just bury it and not talk about it and not want to, because it's painful. No one wants to be in pain. Like, that's just, no one wants to, but the reality is that we are in pain. So talking about it can be painful during the holidays, or even thinking about it. But my advice is just to let it all out. And as best you can, surround yourself with those, or at least be around one person or call one person around the holidays that knows what you've been through regarding that death, and maybe knows the person who passed away as well, so that you can be in a safe space to just talk about it if you want to, whether you want to say that you're angry about it, or whether you want to talk about memories about them, or cry, or whatever. Like, it's just, you have to acknowledge it. I think, in my experience, I remember the first, or maybe it was the second Christmas without my mom. So I was still pretty young. And I was not good about talking about things. Like, I just didn't want to talk about it or acknowledge it too much, because it was hard. I was making cookies, and my mom used to make amazing cookies. And I just remember, like, I burned a batch, and that little thing just like set me off, and I just like lost it in the kitchen. And so it was just kind of a bittersweet moment, because it kind of made me realize, I do need to acknowledge this, and it's hard around the holidays. And I think my suggestion is just to try to find a person, just one or more. And if you can find a safe space within that person or people, surrounding you, to be able to talk about it during the holidays, or at least sometimes even writing a letter to your person who's passed away. For me, I talk to them. So like, I'll talk to my mom, I'll talk to my dog, who I just put down earlier this year. Like, I live alone, so I don't look so crazy, but I'll talk out loud. So it looks like I'm talking to myself. So I'll do that, and that's helpful. But just kind of acknowledging that for me, that was one tool that is helpful. Everyone takes it differently, and everyone's experiences are different. So that being said, I think that's just my advice, is just to try to talk about it and to acknowledge it, and find a way to, as best you can, make it seem like they are there as best you can. It's bittersweet, but for me, it helped push me forward to acknowledging, like, it's okay to feel this way, and it's okay to miss them. But it also made me enjoy it just a little bit more, because I felt that their spirit, like my mom's spirit, she would not want me sad around the holidays. She'd be very upset with me, actually. So, yeah. Just knowing that was helpful, and like, okay, I just need to like pick it up and keep going. So
yeah, I think that's great. A great thought for anybody who's in that same situation. And I'm glad you mentioned your dog too, because like, that might be someone's situation too. They may have lost a family pet. That like, you and I are both huge dog lovers. So like, that stings just as much for some people as a human being or a family member. You know what I mean? Like, they are family members in a lot of cases. So but yeah, I think that's a great thought. I think those are all great thoughts. And I know, like, my mom and my aunt lost their sister a couple of years ago. And I mean, I'm blanking on the exact date, but I know when the holidays rolled around, that was really difficult for them, because it was just, unfortunate circumstance and some different things. But one of the things that I thought was really cool, even though, and kind of to your point, even though they were really, really upset about it, and it was still hurt. It still hurts to this day. during the holidays, they shared memories and they laughed, and I get that's not going to be the case for everybody. Like some people have complicated relationships with the people that, passed on. It may not be the most, it may not be the most like joyful, thing either. As far as like when they think back to those people. So I get there's some complications to that stuff, but like I know from my mom and aunt, they were sharing stories and people were sharing stories, like funny things that happened, memorable things they really enjoyed doing with her. And it seemed to really, like you said, I think it really helped, because it felt like that person's memory was still there. And, and again, they were able to acknowledge that person's passing but also, like bring some positive light into it as well and bring some humor into it. And, and I think that was a really positive thing for him. I think it was like a cathartic thing for sure. Yeah. I think, really benefited them. And like you said, that may not be helpful for everybody, but I know for them, it seemed to be really helpful, as difficult as it was. So,
it was good. It was good they have each other. So like I said, at least one person to like share that, emotion with is helpful. So
absolutely.
And I'm saying this because when I did put my dog down earlier this year, I mean, I'm not an outwardly emotional person. I played sports my whole life. I got my game face on and I just kind of like I just don't show, if I'm upset, I don't show it. And I'm a teacher. I can't show that I'm upset, which is every day with my classes, but they don't know it.
Sure.
But when I put my dog down for like a week and a half, maybe every day, at least 5 times a day, I just openly would just cry, just like grieving it. And so that would, I mean, of course the dog is different, than a human, passing away, but the emotions are still real.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like it helped me move forward faster, not faster, but in a more healthy way. And so, anyway, it was just interesting because I didn't grieve like that with my mom. I didn't know how to grieve for my mom. Mm-hmm. And so when my dog passed away, I think I'm like learning how to, I need to let it out. And so it just made it a little more bearable to move forward. And it's just weird. You got all these chemicals and hormones going on when that happens. So, yeah.
Well, and you're
crying, everybody. Crying is fine. Real too. It's okay.
That's how we started this podcast off. I do it when I see the wrong commercial. So, or a certain scene of a movie, I'm like, I'm not going to do this. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's just like sitting there. But yeah, no, it's a good thing. It's necessary sometimes, Yeah. And, again, it's this show is even though sometimes I think we stray so far from it. Like this show is all about connection. Sometimes just having conversation that hopefully people connect with. And I do think that this is one of those things that hopefully helps people connect with either the people around them, connect with I guess they're connect with themselves in a sense, like what you're speaking of and dealing with some of those things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's weird. The dog thing is really interesting. And I don't know if you experienced this, but when our dog passed, I mean, 6 years ago at this point, it was really bizarre because after she passed, I'm talking about like a month, I could hear the dog chain.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. I heard her dog collar every night because she would, obviously slept in my bed with me and just in my room. Yeah. I heard her dog collar all the time.
Because I think you just get so used to it. It almost becomes like silence, or it becomes like part of the silence. So even if there's no sound, TV's off, no one's talking, like that's just a normal sound that you hear, right? So often that it just kind of becomes a part of the environment. So when it's gone, it's like it rings so loud, even though you would think there's less noise.
I swear I would hear her breathing at night too. I would tell my roommates the next day, I heard her breathing.
Yeah.
And my roommates actually, because I was living in a house with, the girls at the time, they're like, I could have sworn we heard her walking through the hall. Like they heard it too. It was weird, but yeah, I'm glad. I didn't know if it was just me or them, or if they were saying that just to make me feel like I'm not going crazy, but we, like all of us, heard her collar for like a few weeks after. It was weird.
It's very strange.
Very strange.
Very strange. But anyways, thank you for answering that question. I just thought it was important. Like I said, apologize. I should have given you a little bit of a heads up, but I forgot. So I'm kind of not something I really wanted to forget, but here we are. Forgot. So, so anyways, so I'm going to jump into this. I don't even know how long we've been recording. If while I'm finding this, if you want to make your weekly guess.
My weekly guess is 30 minutes and 47 seconds.
All right. Somebody let us know. No one's ever let us know, but except for your friends. Your friends did let you know. But let us know someone tell us, actually tell us on Instagram on our post. That'd be awesome.
And I don't start a timer, you guys. I promise. I don't we just go.
We just go. Okay, let me see. So here's the deal. This is what I'm gonna read a couple of these because I think they're funny. So now that we had that more emotional segment, now we're gonna make fun of people. So these are people that definitely have some issues they need to work through with their family. But basically this subreddit is called AITA, and it's Am I the A-hole? And basically they just toss out a scenario, they give the explanation, and then people just start commenting on whether or not they're in the right or the wrong. And so Jordan, I don't know if you guys have listened to this episode, but Jordan and I did this a little while ago where we just did a whole episode breaking these things down. And so today I thought, hey, it might be fun to do one that's Thanksgiving themed and get Deb's input on this. So I'm going to read a couple of these. I'm going to try to find some that aren't super long. I might paraphrase a little bit because some of them are books. So let's see. Where do I want to start? Okay, let me start with this one because I think this is an interesting one. Okay, am I the a-hole for calling my son's wife disrespectful for bringing her own food to my Thanksgiving dinner? Okay, so I'll preface this by saying that my son, so I'm 45, my son's 23, and he recently got married to his now wife, Sarah, 22. We get along just fine as a family, though she tends to act passive aggressively sometimes. She loves food and is always open to trying my cooking. She said my cooking was amazing, though she made a few negative comments about certain meals and advised me to use X, Y, and Z ingredients next time. I invited them over for Thanksgiving yesterday. The whole family was there. The bell rang and I opened the door to see Tim and Sarah. Sarah was carrying what seemed to be a container. I didn't ask about it, nor paid much attention to it. Everyone sat down to eat after I set up the table and put dinner on it. My main dish was the traditional Thanksgiving dish every family in our community knows. I had appetizers and side dishes and, of course, salad and dessert. So she had the whole thing, whole dinner. Sarah then put the container on the table and started unloading food onto her empty plate. Everyone was watching as my eyes widened up. I asked what she was doing, and she said she brought her own food to eat since she won't eat what I cooked. I was stunned and politely asked if there was a reason for that, and she shook her head. I asked if she was vegan. She said no. I asked if she was allergic to anything at the table, and she said no. I asked if she was having an upset stomach or anything, but she said no. I asked then why not eat what I cooked for them all day. She just smugly smiled at me, and it set me off. I told her that it was disrespectful of her to bring the food to the Thanksgiving dinner that I was hosting. And they started arguing, and let's see, got into a big argument. She grabbed her stuff, excused herself, and walked out. Tim quietly followed her, and they left. I was so upset. Everyone was just staring. My husband said I should have just let it go and not comment on Sarah's food choice, but I couldn't help but feel disrespected in my own home. He said I made dinner awkward by focusing so much on that. So anyways, yeah, it was a huge issue. So
wow.
So and like I said, I cut out a big chunk of that because it wasn't necessary. Basically, she's just explaining more. I don't know how you feel about that. But like my thought is that I'll say this, the way it was unfolded, and this is what we did with Jordan. We basically said, okay, we're going to take this woman at her word and say that everything here is accurate and it's not revisionist history. My thought is so that is disrespectful. I do feel like that's disrespectful. And I would say, and you would know better because like you're like when you've talked before about doing like the macro counting and stuff like that. I feel like even if you're doing some kind of diet, if you're training for something, if you have a really strict diet, I would probably even right before dinner, just let the person know like, hey, I don't want to offend you, but I'm on this diet. I brought my own stuff. You know, I don't know. I would just at least give them a heads up to a certain extent, because I think to just drop that on someone that prepared all that food would seem, and then not to give them a reason why you're doing it seems weird to me.
I think that's what I was gonna. That's the rude part. It's not the bringing of your own food. It's that she she wouldn't say why. And at the end of the day, we can all do what we want, right? Like you can't like whatever. That's on her if she wants to bring her own food, and that's on the was that the mother-in-law?
That was her mother-in-law. Yeah.
That's on the mother-in-law if she wants to be upset about that, whatever. But yeah, in the eyes of like reading that story as it is, like you said, if she were like competing for a bodybuilding competition and she's like, sorry, I got to bring my own turkey because it's cooked this way, it's the fact that there was no explanation that is like so rude.
Because at the very least,
it's funny, but it's the no explanation part is really rude. Not the bringing of the food, but just like the nope, I'm just bringing. I don't like your food, I don't want to eat your food, and she didn't say why.
Right.
And no heads up, nothing. That is rude.
So yeah, it's definitely the daughter-in-law that's in the wrong here. I think
so. I mean, assuming.
I think there's something deeper going on too. Like
something
happened.
I want to get behind like. I want to psychoanalyze it, but we don't know anything else. But there's for sure something else, like deeper, like a history of passive aggressiveness crosses my mind between the two of them. And they do this back and forth thing. Hell, maybe the mother-in-law comments about how her house is not clean. I don't know. Like we don't know. And then here comes the daughter-in-law. I'm like, well, I'm not going to eat your food. So
yeah. I'll show you where to stuff your turkey. Like, oh gosh, you know what I mean? Like there could be a lot of animosity built up here.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that instance, in that story, then yeah, that's rude to not explain why you brought your own food, I guess. We're
on the same page here. So daughter-in-law, you messed up. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to go into this one. I'm just going to read the headline. We don't need to discuss this one because it's probably a little too much, but it was one that I did save. Like, well, that's interesting. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that she can't sleep at my house for Thanksgiving if she's on her period?
What?
Unless do you want to go into that one?
I'm like curious as to why. Like,
all right, here we go.
How? Okay.
All right, here we go. Like I said, I just thought
more. Like, obviously, yeah, that's an whole move to say that. So there has to be more to it.
All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right. If this one gets us kicked off of Apple Podcasts, sorry guys, it's fine. It'll be worth it, everybody.
It'll be worth it.
Okay, my sister-in-law invited herself to my home to stay for Thanksgiving, but I don't want her sleeping at my home if she's on her period. A few times in the past, she has come to my home and stayed while she has been on her period. Both times she slept in our guest room and ruined our sheets and mattress pads. It looked like a massacre. Sorry. I didn't really read this one beforehand. Sorry. That's horrible.
Josh is blushing. He's all embarrassed.
I should have read that first.
So if you can keep reading if you want, but if you want to stop there, like, okay, I mean.
Well, now I'm a third way through, so I got to keep going. Okay. I'm sorry. Her description of that just took me by surprise. Okay.
That's funny.
To make matters worse, she didn't tell us. We had to find the disgusting sheets in our laundry.
Wow.
And find the bloodstains on the mattress pad. Not only that, she has left tampons, wrappers, and bloody tampons in the toilet without flushing. This person's just a savage. What is this person doing? And blood on the toilet and inside of the toilet seat. I told my husband to say something to his sister, but he was too embarrassed to say anything. I figured so she brought it to Reddit. I figured I wouldn't say anything because she was moving out of the country and I didn't expect her to visit anymore.
Oh my God.
Well, she just informed us that she's coming for Thanksgiving, and I informed her that I don't want her sleeping over if she's on her period.
Oh, I wonder what her response was.
Let's see. Yeah, because of the last few times she left a nasty mess while on her period and was disgusting. She cursed me out, called me a rude bee, and said that's why no one in her family likes me. They can only tolerate me because I'm married to her brother. I told her that's fine, and I'm not tolerating a grown woman staying in my home that can't control and clean up after herself while on her period. I understand having heavy periods, but to leave a mess for everyone to have to see and clean up is absolutely disgusting. Should I keep quiet, or should I have kept quiet, or am I the a-hole for telling her that she can't come if she's on her period?
Did this happen more than once? I don't remember if
This sounds like it's happened every time she's been at the house and slept over.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That's tough too, because it's not even just a matter of sleeping over. It sounds like she's just leaving a mess everywhere.
Well, and to not say anything, and to not even be like, oh my God, I'm so and to not pull the wife aside and say, I'm so embarrassed, but
Right.
can I buy you new sheets or get stain remover or clean it myself or something?
Right.
Like, to not say anything. Like, I can't imagine she didn't know that those stains weren't there. Anyway, yeah, that is kind of gross.
Does this feel, because like basically she was a little bit aggressive towards the wife when she confronted her with this and said like, hey, by the way, no one likes you in our family. They tolerate you. Do you feel like it's maybe a little bit of a passive aggressive move?
From the sister, you mean?
Yeah.
To the wife?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's like, something. I'm just gonna do this. I'm not gonna. Not saying she did it intentionally. Mm-hmm. Maybe she did. I don't know, which would be disgusting. That's like that's like next level.
Said no one likes you. Maybe she doesn't like her, and maybe that's why she's like, I'm just gonna whatever. So there could be that too. But either way, whether you have problems with somebody or not, it's still like a weird thing to be a grown-ass woman and to not, like, you should know your body at least, like, and know that if is gonna happen anyway. So
I can't speak on that part of it. So the only part I can speak on, is if something like that happens, whether it's that or something else where you make a mess of, someone's property, right? Like,
right.
But you could spill, you could spill something on their carpet, or speaking of which, you cut yourself on my carpet at my house and bled on our floor before.
Oh, I did.
You did. I wanted to make that very clear. I didn't want to just say that you bled on the carpet.
I did.
Like, you cut yourself on your leg. That's where the blood came from. I wanted to draw those very distinct line.
I remember that. Yeah. See, and I said something and it was just a tiny bit of blood.
You did.
See, at least say something. So I think that because
you're a grown up.
Wife, because exactly.
Yeah.
Some adult. I think the wife is not in the wrong for saying, because that is her house. She can do whatever she wants. That's her house. Mm-hmm. It's not like that's her house. I don't think she's in the wrong. She could do that. You cannot come over.
I don't think so. Well, especially this person doesn't seem to care at all.
Right. Yeah. And to say no one likes you, it's like, well, now you just can't come over, period.
Right. Oh, I see what you did there. All right. So that was pretty clear cut. Let me see. Let's have another good one. These are actually going quicker than I thought. So, this one is short. I thought this was funny though. Am I the a-hole for telling my son I didn't want to go over to his house for Thanksgiving, since that would mean I'd have to eat his wife's cooking? My daughter-in-law cooks okay, but sometimes I just feel like it's inedible. I wasn't thrilled about the prospect of eating any meal cooked by her, or subjecting my husband to her flavorless heaps of garbage.
Oh my God.
So I said that they need to come here. He said I was too harsh on her, but she started it when she told me my gumbo needs more spices, any kind will do, basically insinuating it was bland. So this is clearly, she was insulted by other comments. And I do like how this lady said her daughter-in-law cooks okay, and then each sentence after that was like, she doesn't use much spice. Oh, her cooking is complete trash. I hate her guts. Like, it just continued to progress that way. But yeah, that's
time
tough.
of the year where people get very in particular about food and fights get started.
I was just gonna say,
someone doesn't like this cooking and this cooking is trash, but this person doesn't know it, and then this is where the holiday fun starts with cooking.
That is tough though. Like, oh man, that is tough though, right? Because I noticed the same thing. A lot of these food is at the center of a lot of these stories, because people are like, just don't mess with my food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like a special occasion, so people are really not thrilled with food getting messed up. Mm-hmm. And especially when you have like some of these stories, you have multiple family members hosting, right? Mm-hmm. Like, depending on the year, they either have a rotation, or it depends on who can do it that year. And so I'm sure that's the case where, if one person's hosting, it's like, oh no, like, we have to go to their house, but their cooking's not good. It's just trash. And then you have another house that might be just amazing, where it's like they're one step removed from like the Food Network, right? Mm-hmm. There's a baller when it comes to, cooking. So, it's got to be a tough thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta be a tough thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the first one to admit that, like, yeah, my cooking's trash. Let's have yours instead, and let's come over there. So like, I can't relate to the whole, no, you have to come over here so I can cook for you. Like, I know I can't cook. Like, that's just no one expects me to bring anything homemade ever anymore.
But have you like, well, I don't want to put anybody in the spot, but have you gone to family members' houses where you're like, this
family
is going to be
members,
dicey?
Family members, no, but I did go to a friend of a friend's one time for Thanksgiving, and yeah, the food basically I had like on my plate turkey, mashed potatoes, oh my gosh, what, green bean casserole, something else. It all tasted the same. So like, like everything tasted like, I don't know how else to describe that. Like, it all tasted the same, which is not good.
Sounds
So
like prison food.
yeah, it was very, it was very strange, but yeah, no family members, but that was like, again, like a friend of a friend.
That's tough. You know, it's always, sorry, you know, it's awkward in those situations too, is if you have like a group of friends or family and you can just tell something's not right with the way something tastes, but then you have somebody in the group is like, are you kidding me? This is amazing. Who made this? Like what? It's like your taste buds are either way off or you're incredibly nice and you're going like above and beyond to make sure that person doesn't know that this is trash. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky. All the family events that I've been to, I mean, the cooking is so good. I'm just like, okay, I'm not bringing a dish because I'm going to screw it up. So can I just bring cookies and some wine? And they're like, sure. And then I'll do the dishes. Like, I'll contribute any hard labor as long as I get to eat your food. The food's amazing.
Look at that. Deb keeps it simple. That's what we like about you, Deb. It's pretty, you keep it simple. And that's the thing too. Like some of these people, I think it does become a pride thing, right? Like just like you and I, when it comes to like when we were playing sports, right? Like there's the element of pride, right? Like you don't want to be shown up by someone else. You don't want to lose. I think for some people, their baseball or softball field is the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I do think, I mean, I really do think there's like a sense of pride. So if someone else comes in like puffing their chest, like you want to dunk on them in some way. And, you know, if someone critiques your food, then it's a real shot to the ego, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yep. So, well, shout out to anybody who's having a rough food Thanksgiving. We're thinking about you. Not my case, but sorry, everybody. I'm in a pretty good situation. So,
you can always buy store-bought things and make it look homemade. Just saying.
That's true. Do you think so? Oh, I guess you could. Like Rayleigh's and Safeway, they have, I think, like a pie, because I don't think there's any way you can make like a frozen pie seem homemade.
Or just go to a restaurant and just like get it and like put it. I'm just trying to help everybody out. Like if you could do that too. Or it could just be it like me and admit that I'm not making anything. I'll buy it from the store and bring it over and do the dishes.
There you go. If you had to make something, what would be your go-to? Like if you're like, okay, this is my best shot to not offend people.
I can actually make homemade mashed potatoes pretty well.
Oh, okay.
Like I like to, the last time I made them, which I don't really remember, a few years ago, I think it was a few years ago, actually. I like to dice the tomatoes up into like wedges and put seasoning over them and toast them in the oven. Like kind of like I'm about to make some like wedge fries, basically, almost. Yeah. And then I leave the skin on and and then you just mash them from there. And then I just like to put, the usual like milk and butter and just so I've made some pretty bomb mashed potatoes that way before, but that's about it. That's all I got. That's
still pretty good, because not everybody can make mashed potatoes. You know what I mean? Like some of that stuff, I think like the people that are more seasoned with cooking, I think take certain things for granted, and they're like, I just make this. But like for some people, that would be a really challenging thing. You know what I mean? Like some people for like green bean casserole, they're like, that's really tough for me. Like, or how did you make this? It seems so complicated. And they're like, complicated? This is like the easiest thing I made. But it just depends on your experience. There's actually I don't know, I forgot the name of it. It's on YouTube. I think it's by Epicurious. I think it's their channel. But they have it's a YouTube show called different, like 3 different levels or 4 different levels. I can't remember, but you have like an amateur chef, or like a novice, like an amateur, and then a pro chef, and they all make one dish, and it's very funny to see how they do it, because you have for example, like make a cheeseburger, right? This person's like, oh, I buy the pre-made patty from the store, and then I flip it, and I cut it open to see if it's done. And like the first one they did was burnt. So like, okay, start over. That's like the novice. And then you have the chef who's like, well, I get like 3 kinds of meat. I grind it myself. It's like, it's a really interesting, like if you enjoy food and you enjoy cooking, it's a lot of fun. There's one guy on there that's the middle, like amateur. That would be more of like the person just who like, it's like a hobby for them. They just really enjoy cooking. He makes some pretty good stuff. He just has like this weird laugh. He's a very interesting guy. It's always fun to see what he makes, but it's a cool show. So if anybody's interested, like I said, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it is a fun one.
One dessert thing that I can make really well, my friends from back home in good old Merced, when I visit them, they always request it. And it's hilarious because they're like, bring your cherry cobbler.
Oh. And
I'm like, oh, fine. Okay. All it is 2 cans of just just like cherry pie filling.
Okay.
And it's basically called cherry dump cake for anyone who knows what that is. And you just basically dump the 2 cans in a big cake pan, like a cake pan.
Yeah.
And then you get a whole box of white cake mix,
mm-hmm.
and you just sprinkle the cake mix over it. And then you take basically a whole stick of butter, and you chop it up into like just thin slices, and you put them all on top until it's covering the whole thing. And then you just throw it in the oven. So it's just 3 things, and it's the easiest thing ever, but it's really good because it's got lots of butter.
Sounds delicious.
So my friends, they're so cute. They think it's like I labor over it's like homemade cherry cobbler, and it's like the easiest thing ever. So I can do that pretty well.
All right. So see, you're not giving yourself enough credit. That sounds like 2 things that are delicious.
Oh, but that's a lot of work. So that's why I don't.
Well, now we're
This is why I don't say these things, because then people, like when my friends find out that I did make something, they're like, are you joking? Why don't you ever? And I'm like, no, I didn't do. Like I get, reeled into making things. So.
Okay. So now that you said that, I'm assuming that everything you make is delicious.
No. I mean, I will say I cannot make meat very well.
Like what?
Cannot like chicken. I used to be really good at making chicken. I don't know what happened. I woke up one day and I can't even like make good chicken in the oven. Don't know what happened, but I've never made a steak. The proteins scare me. Like I don't do the meat, but like I can do starches pretty well and desserts pretty well. So that's about it.
Okay. This sounds like you're backpedaling a little bit because you realize that some of your friends listen to this and you just outed yourself for 2 dishes. And now you probably make delicious steak, delicious chicken. And now you're like, no, I'm terrible at those things. If Deb's friends, don't listen to her. I think she's lying about what she can make.
Oh no, they know.
Do they?
I don't know. But they know not to ask me to cook.
All right.
It's been a while.
Fair enough.
It's been a while. So
all right.
Maybe one day I'll get bored and then I'll start cooking again.
Probably not. I'm not getting the sense that that's going to happen.
I don't have, my patience gets more and more thin every year. I swear. I just don't have the patience to cook. I just don't. Like I'd rather pay someone to do it for me.
Do you ever use
microwave?
Oh, there you go. See, that's fine. That's fine too. See, I enjoy cooking.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. See, it's therapeutic for some people. And to be honest, the times that I've done it and played around with it, it was too, but then I'll get out of that mood and I'll be like, okay, I'm done trying to cook and play around with this. I need to do something else.
All right. Well, there you go.
So there's that.
Look at that. We learned a little bit about Deb. And if you're one of her friends, you learned, it just confirmed what you already knew, that she does not want any part of bringing food, but she will do the dishes.
I'll do the dishes.
There you go. Yep. All right. Let me do one more of these. Let me do one more of these questions. Which one? There's a couple of good ones. Okay, let's go with this one because I'm interested in your take on this. I doubt that you've been in this situation, but maybe. Okay. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to invite my ex to Thanksgiving dinner? So my ex broke up with me a while back after 9 years together. We still get along. She visits me occasionally and I visit her occasionally, partly because I kept the dog and she kept the cats, but also because after 9 years, we couldn't really just cut each other out like that. Anyways, here in Canada, Thanksgiving dinner is coming up soon. My mom has been saying I should invite my ex over for family dinner. I know to an extent she misses her too, but I told her it would probably be more uncomfortable than anything for my ex and I to do. My mom said she's still family. Sorry, some of these grammatical things are not my fault. I just want to point that out to everybody. I can speak. So my mom said she's still family and maybe it sounds cold, but I replied with, she's really not though. I mentioned that whenever I get in a serious relationship again, things like this aren't even going to be an option. Inviting my ex for family dinners, saying she's part of the family, having pictures of her on the wall, still, still long after we ended things, etc. So why do it now? Anyways, we continued going back and forth, and she said I wasn't considering her feelings on this or my ex. I've extended invitations to her from my mom in the past, and we've both got a mutual understanding that it would feel awkward. I really don't feel like I'm being crazy or unreasonable, but am I? And if I'm not, how do I convey that to her? I don't know what he's trying to say there. That's fine. You get the idea. You get the idea.
It sounds like the mom has hopeful notions that these two are going to get back together.
Yeah.
Because you do not invite your ex to holiday things. Even if you share kids together, that's even like okay, do I have the kid for this holiday and then you can have them for the next one? Like, I don't know. Some exes and families get along great and they all do things together, whatever. But I don't have kids, so I can't speak to that, I guess, fully, but okay, I'll speak to what I do know. I don't have kids. No, my ex is not coming to a holiday gathering, and I am not going to my ex's holiday gathering.
It'd be weird.
Yes.
I've been in that situation, but just,
you guys broke up. It's done. No. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, oh, all right. That hit a nerve. Sorry, everybody.
No, just like, I'm just putting myself in that situation. And I'm like, sure. No, unless like, we're like, yeah, we're getting back together. Like, okay, cool. Come on back. But I don't know. He said in the story, he said, if I get involved in another relationship, that's going to be a hard pass. Like, you don't get in another relationship and the ex just like shows up and is still family. Like, how awkward for everybody.
You would think so, but I've been to some family gatherings where that very thing has happened.
Shut up.
I will not go into details, but
I would be so uncomfortable. But that's just my personal, like.
Are you kidding me? I'm watching that for podcast content. I'm like watching that like a hawk. I even have Jordan there, like, hey, Jordan, keep an eye on that situation, because if anything pops off, that's next Tuesday. We're recording about this because it's gonna be fantastic content. No, I'm dead serious. There's a situation that I know that's exactly like that.
I mean, whatever. Everyone's different, but like for me, that's a hard pass.
Oh no, it's weird. I'm not even close with those people. It's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
In the situation, like I'm watching it, I'm like, how does and you can tell from the outside looking in, it's like this seems uncomfortable for one of the parties, you know, for a bunch of different reasons. Basically, the person that's still single, they're there, and it looks very uncomfortable, very bizarre.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know who listens to this podcast. I've already said too much. Actually, I don't care. I'm fine. I don't care. But yeah, no, it's but it's I mean, it's that exact situation that you're talking about, but like the new partner is there with the ex, all that stuff. It's very, very bizarre, very strange. And like you said, I mean, if people feel like they can do that, great. But I did like how she said, or this guy said, was this from the guy's perspective or the girl's perspective? Guy. Yeah, it was interesting that like having pictures of his ex-girlfriend on the wall. And like, you know, when you think about having the new partner come into the picture, like that would be pretty funny. It's like, oh, is that your cousin? Nope. Sister?
Ex. Yeah.
It's my ex. Like, what? Yeah, no, it's my ex. My mom loves her. I'm sorry.
It's very strange. And no.
So, but you haven't, that hasn't even come up for you.
No.
Yeah. Well, that makes it easy.
Yep. Yeah. One, like, it hasn't happened, but putting myself, like, just picturing that happening potentially is a no. So.
Well, because you're gonna have to deal with some questions, especially with family that doesn't know your situation well. right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to answer like, oh, how long have you guys been together? Oh, we're not. This is just a
Well,
friend. I mean,
well,
like
no.
it gets weird.
Well, and I worry more about the parents, the in-laws, the mom who like, especially if in that story the mom was like asking about her commute. Like obviously she wants them back together. Like that is like, a mom being a mom and she likes the ex-girlfriend or whatever.
Sure.
And then it just gets their hopes up and it gets confusing and it's just no. I don't think there's
Yeah.
other explanation. Just no.
Well, and like it said, like you or like they said, and you're kind of alluding to, it seems like the only person that's not on board with this plan is the mom here, because it sounds like
She wants them together.
yeah, and even the boyfriend and girlfriend are like, no, this would be a bad idea, and she's like, are you sure? Yeah, we could do it. It's like, no, mom, can't do it. Yeah,
no,
that
mom's
sounds
playing
like
matchmaker. Okay, that's what moms do. They match make and they want things to happen, so they try their
yeah.
hardest to do that.
Yeah, that also sounds like a situation where I think that girlfriend's getting invited regardless. Like, she's asking her son, like, hey, you should invite her. He's like, nah, it's not going to happen. And she's like, okay, cool. And that's when she sends the DM, on Facebook or Instagram. It's like, hey, we would love to have you for Thanksgiving. I know John thinks the same thing. Come on over. That's how it goes down. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, hey, and it's one of those situations. It feels very much like a holiday comedy on Hallmark or something.
Mm-hmm.
What would the name of that movie be?
Oh
I'm
God,
to think.
I'm not good at titles.
I know. I thought we could come up with something. Apparently, we're not that creative tonight.
No, gotta give me more time for that.
Thanksgiving with Mama. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure if that doesn't really capture it, does it?
The nightmare holiday.
The Nightmare Before Christmas. That movie already exists, but that's kind of what it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
All
There's
right.
a movie called the only thing I could think of is it's complicated, but that's already a movie. So
right. There was actually one, I'm not going to read it because it's super long, but there's one that it sounded very much like I haven't seen this movie. I've seen like pieces of it. But Monster-in-Law with Jennifer Lopez
and J-Lo.
Yeah. And some of this I'm like, because sometimes on these Reddit things, I'm like, I think you're a liar. I think you're making this up. Like, I don't think this is a real situation because some of them are so outlandish. I'm like, you're a liar. You just wanted to get some like conversation going. This one sounded exactly like it. Like this woman couldn't stand her mother-in-law. They were at each other's throat. There was like this peace agreement for the sake of the son. And then at one point she poured flour on her. It's like, oh my gosh, are we adults here? Like, why are we pouring flour on each other before a date? It was dumb. Like the mom wore a very wedding-like dress to this woman's bridal shower. Like just very bizarre. I'm like, this sounds like it's a lie. I don't believe you, lady. I think you're lying. I think you just wanted some attention on this thread. So, but anyways, some of the stuff does really sound like stereotypical movie stuff. So, anyways, we could do this forever because there is so much. People have some real issues they're dealing with when it comes to family. So luckily it sounds like both of us don't have to deal with that. So I'm thankful for that on Thanksgiving episode.
I'm very thankful. I have minimal to zero drama in my family. I'm very grateful.
Yep. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we get out of here, because we are probably running a little bit later than I said, I don't know why I said we would do a shorter episode because didn't happen.
Yeah.
So we have some questions from some of our friends and family from, my family. They sent stuff in. Questions from Instagram. Like, we want to try to do some more of that stuff. I think it's always fun when we actually get questions from people. So we're just going to go through a few of these. These are Thanksgiving related questions from Instagram. So I'm trying to see what we want to do here. My wife is very kind. She's like, I know you're not going to get that many questions, so I'm going to give you like 5 or 6. So this is from Rachel. What is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Probably stuffing. Can I pick 2?
Sure.
Stuffing and sweet potatoes.
Interesting. I do like stuffing, and that might be. I mean, that might be mine. Stuffing. I love stuffing. It's delicious,
especially if it's homemade. I'm very spoiled, and I've had lots of homemade stuffing before, and it's so good.
Oh, I agree. It's delicious. I would say that it is probably my favorite part. Do you pour gravy on all of it? Or do you section it out? Because I feel like that's always a debate.
Yeah, a little bit. I'll probably dip it in a little bit of each thing.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if it's really good gravy.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, it's always tough when the gravy's no good. That's always a little bit tough.
Yeah, because everyone makes it differently. Some people do as a package, and some people have their own special. It's like simmering over a saucepan all day type situation. But it just depends on It depends on it depends on the gravy.
I agree. Do you like leftovers?
I do like leftovers.
I love leftovers. It's the best.
Yeah, it's the best for things. Yeah, yep, for Thanksgiving. Not so much other things, but Thanksgiving leftovers are the best.
It just tastes different.
I know. Well, especially my family does this thing where they make it into a breakfast. They'll do like a breakfast casserole, or they'll do something crazy at my stepmom's house, and I'm always like looking forward to that. I'm like, what are we gonna have this year?
Yeah,
leftovers. It's great. It's really good.
It sounds delicious. Yeah. I want the recipe. I don't know if it is a recipe, but if there is one, please send it my way, because that sounds delicious. Yeah. Oh, this is a fun one. This is from our friend Paul Marshall. He says, how long can y'all stand your relatives before things derail? Paul, man, that sounds like one of the Reddit questions, dude. I mean,
right?
Yeah. Luckily for myself, like I haven't had that issue. Things have been pretty good. So, fingers crossed it stays that way. But I do know some other people where they're like, as soon as I walk through the door, that's when things get derailed. You know what I mean? Like I know people that are in those situations where like, I don't even know why I came over. This seems like a waste of my time,
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I think I know people who have good stories, but sorry, Paul, I don't got, things don't derail for me. And when I go to Thanksgiving stuff with families, we just kind of do our thing. And then, okay, see you later. I'll go back to where we came from. We don't stay forever. It's like a day and a half type situation, but yeah, I don't have any good stories about things derailing, fortunately and unfortunately. So
unfortunately for this podcast, we don't have anything, because that would have been.
I don't have any good stories. Sorry.
Dang, sorry, Paul. I should have followed up, because it sounds like Paul's got some stories just based on that question.
Yeah, I want to know his stories.
I know. Well, I should have done a follow up. That's my bad, Paul. But you'll have to let us know at some point if you got some crazy story. Maybe even after Thanksgiving we can share that story, because we got Christmas coming up too. So let us know, Paul, because I know you're listening. So let us know what some of your crazy stories are, and we'll get that out here for the people to hear. So favorite dessert. This is another one from my wife.
I want to say the classic pumpkin pie, but I'm actually more into like the apple pie type.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't like pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
I don't like pumpkin stuff. The only thing, like pumpkin muffins are pretty good sometimes, but that's like pumpkin spice, right? It's not really a pumpkin. It's like just like a spice muffin.
Yeah.
I've never been a pumpkin fan. I just don't enjoy the taste of it.
Yeah. It's an acquired. I think it's definitely not. Yeah. You definitely either you love it or you hate it, I think.
But see, I feel like being the person who doesn't like it, I feel like I'm the one that's in the minority. I guess this is my, am I the a-hole for not liking pumpkin pie? That's what it feels like. Because I feel like when you, like any circle you go into, like I feel like people love pumpkin pie.
Well, okay. So pecan pie, I will not touch pecan pie. But
yeah, I won't either.
Okay, a lot of other people, that's like a staple, like a classic Thanksgiving like dessert or Christmas dessert. Like I won't touch it.
So I pass on that too.
Yeah. So
yeah. But the apple pie, I do like apple pie. I remember this was when I was maybe like 12. My bajan, or my grandma, it's Japanese for grandma. She brought a pie. It was like a mixed fruit pie. It was like the greatest thing I've ever had in my entire life. She never brought it back. And I was like, every year I was like waiting, like, oh, what's that box? Oh, huh? Oh no, it's a pumpkin pie. Oh no. And then, I'm just sitting there disappointed. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to have dessert today, because that one, I don't know what it was. I don't know where she got it. It's like the great mystery. It's like the eighth wonder of the world for me. I don't know what happened. I don't know where that pie came from. It was amazing though. Like I'm a huge chocolate fan. So I tend to lean more that way, but whatever that pie was the best thing I'd ever had. And it never came back. So it's kind of a sad story.
It's sad.
A little bit, if you're a dessert lover, that's like, it's like breaking up with someone. It's like it's like a one night stand with a pie.
It's like, yeah.
Like, what's that movie? Is it Serendipity? With I can't remember the actor. Is it Sandra Bullock? No,
I think Sandra Bullock. Yeah,
it is her. Okay, and they just like keep missing each other.
yeah.
Right? They just can't quite connect. That's what it feels like with this pie.
Yikes.
I gave up at this point. Maybe we'll reconnect one day. I don't know.
Maybe you'll find it one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay, next one. So this is from Jordan. And there's a story behind this. So what is your favorite memory of someone at Thanksgiving having allergies? So I'm going to give you the background of the story. So when it was a couple years ago, I was at Rachel's family's house for the first part of Thanksgiving. For a while, we were splitting the day, right? So we went to her family's house for the morning and early afternoon. And then we drove up to Newcastle where my family was, and they were hanging out. So I got it during the morning. I got a text from my brother while they were eating saying, "Hey, my cousin's boyfriend had brought his cousin to Thanksgiving." And I forgot his name, but Jordan's like, he texted me, he's like, "Hey, this dude's cousin is going to die. He's literally going to die at the table." Like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, it turns out he's allergic to cats." And so, and my aunt and uncle have a big white fluffy cat. And so like, okay, I said, I'm sure, I don't know if Jordan's just being silly. I don't know if he's exaggerating. I don't know what's going on here. And so we get to the house and I see this dude like holding like a football, holding a box of tissue. Like, oh, that's weird. And he just keeps going like this. Like, oh, he really is going to die. Like, he was just struggling so bad. And like, you felt bad. At the same time, I would be lying if I didn't like just think that the whole thing was hilarious, because it's like, you couldn't have a conversation without him going like, "Oh my gosh, is someone going to help him? Should he leave the house?" Because it feels like this is not a good situation. And that's been like kind of like a running joke with us ever since. We haven't seen that guy since. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's stayed away from, places with cats, but he was really struggling. I don't know what that's like, so I'm sure it's not that funny for him. Yeah, but for us, it was hilarious. And Jordan was not exaggerating, I found out. He's like, "Oh yeah, this guy really might die."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm like trying to scroll through I don't know that I've been around any holidays where anyone's had allergies. I got nothing.
Probably good. Lucky for you.
No one's haven't had to use an EpiPen. It's not been good yet, so that's good.
Yeah,
So, no
good.
allergies. Yeah.
Good. That's a good thing. So anyways, that's the backstory to that one. A fun memory for us. Like I said, not for the cousin. Okay. And then we'll just do this last one, because I think, we'll do this last one. And we've kind of alluded to this a little bit already, but Rachel wants to know, do you help cook or clean up, or both?
Clean up for sure.
We know your answer.
There was one year when I helped my stepmom's brother make, I think, like just homemade biscuits or something. Like, he was showing me how to do it, and because I'm always like, I always throw my hands up and say, "What can I do?" Because I'm just gonna bring a bottle of wine and some cookies.
Sure.
So I'm always like, "What can I do? Help, clean, assist? What do you need?" So one time I helped him make some homemade biscuits, and those were really good. And that was really fun watching that. And because he's a chef, like he's an actual like cook. So it was fun just doing that with him. And he was very particular about how, they need to be. And so that was fun. But I mostly just hang around the kitchen after and clean and do dishes.
There you go.
Someone's got to do it. And I just believe if you spent time cooking, like, come on, you should, with this many people here, you should not have to clean. So I'll clean because I'm not going to cook. So there's the exchange.
I mean this, when I say this, I mean this wholeheartedly. I don't think I've ever had more respect for you, because no, because I seriously,
to say the whole time. That's it.
Say it again.
I said, that's all I had to say this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, no, I just have a ton of respect for that because that's not the mentality for everybody, unfortunately. That's been like, so I'll say this for myself, that's something that my mom, I'm thankful on this Thanksgiving episode for my mom for a million different reasons, but that's one of them is like, she instilled that in us at an early age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when we would go over to my aunt and uncle's house for Thanksgiving, like my uncle would make all this food.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was time to clean up, right? And like when you're younger, like you're going off and playing. And there was a certain point when we were young, my mom's like, no. Like you guys need to be in the kitchen, drying dishes, washing dishes, clearing stuff, putting stuff in Tupperware, whatever it might be. But like, this is what we do. Yeah. And so she set that example really early on. And that's something I'm really grateful for, because that's what I believe to this day. Like, and for me personally, like if I make dinner, I'm not going to check out of the dishes. Like I'm like, no, I made this mess, I'm going to help clean up too. And always grateful for when people are willing to help as well. You know what I mean? Like that's always a great thing. I know people that just don't do that. And it's a bizarre thing to me. Like I just didn't grow up that way. So when I see that, it's weird. And so, like I said, what you just said, I don't know. I was like I said, much respect, because like I said, not everybody has that. And like, sometimes I think people get into this mode where if they're not hosting, if they're just a guest, like they take that guest role, like they just take that on like in a full capacity where they're like, well, I'm just a guest, I'm just going to hang out and not have to do anything. It's like, no, like there is this element of, you should, here's the thing too. This is my thing. You should at least offer, right? Yeah. The host, there's some people I know are very particular about how they do things. They may say like, no, I'm good. Thank you for offering, but I'm good. But like, I think if you don't even make the offer to help, either, like especially cleaning up is a big one, because like it's a huge Thanksgiving dinner is a massive mess.
Yes. It's like never ending. Like, and I'm not saying this in a complaining way at all, because again, I won't cook, so I'll clean. But I feel like there's just like an endless dish. I feel like it's like forever that I'm in there. I mean, it's cool though, because I get to talk to people while I'm doing it, so it's like a social hour for me too. But God, it's because it's not only the plates you eat off of, if you're going to go with dishes and not like, paper plates, I'm always all for, you just throw those away, but you have the dishes that things are made in, and you got to scoop them and put them into leftovers, into containers, and you got to wash all that. It's just like, it takes forever. So again, I'm not about to let people who slaved over the stove do that, because at the
very least, not by themselves, right? Like at the very least, not by themselves. Like I said, some people are like, well, like I said, for myself, like I've never done Thanksgiving dinner, but like if I cook for people, even if it's like a bigger group, it's again, thanks to my mom, I can't just leave the kitchen and just say, all right, cool, you guys got this, thank you. Like I just can't do it. It's just not in me. Now, some people may be like I said, they may be like, I don't need that much help, or they want to be there and help everybody. Whatever the case is, it's they're hosting, whatever they want to do is fine.
At least offer.
I think you have to at least offer. And if you
offer,
here's the thing. I think if you don't at least offer, in my opinion, you're a douche. That's just my opinion.
So everyone listen, everyone go wherever you're going this Thanksgiving, offer something. Just offer to help clean. I don't know.
Offer something.
It's nice. It's just nice.
It's called being considerate. Like it's just this should not be a difficult concept. You may not like it. Like Deb, who likes doing dishes? No one likes doing dishes.
Likes it, but
for anybody who's not watching, I got close to the screen on that one. I got close to the screen because I want to emphasize, like, no one enjoys doing it, but the bottom line is got to get done. And to your point, like you said, 100%, the reason why it's such a messy one is because you have the serving dishes and the stuff that was cooked in. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I feel like I've experienced this every single year. You think you're doing the dishes and you think you're done, and then you realize that there's a pan or something that you missed on like the stove or in the oven, or you know what I mean? Like it's somewhere. It's like, oh, I thought we were so close, and nope, bring those 5 dishes that we missed over. Happens every year.
Yep, takes forever. It's a chore, but
but like you said, it's the least you could do for the person who, put all that work in to make the meal.
Exactly.
But. Yep. that again, that's just me. So anyways, hopefully that didn't offend anybody, but if it did, then
Sorry.
I'm probably talking about you. So there we go.
So
All
we
right.
can hear it and help out. So
it's super simple. I feel like there's no excuse, but that's just me. Yeah. You guys might feel differently. So yeah, on that note, let's end this thing this way. Just maybe a little bit about what you're thankful for. The funny thing is with this stuff, like it's weird. I feel like this is always a really important thing that happens around Thanksgiving, but I feel like it becomes something that's just cliche. It's like, oh, what are you thankful for? And people, but I guess I don't care. Like, I feel like it's such an important thing. And I think gratitude is like we could do this. I think we've done this before. I think we've done a whole episode on gratitude before.
Yeah.
And how it affects your mentality, how it affects your emotional wellness, all those things. Like, I think being grateful, I guess I'm just going to go. Like, I think being grateful is so important, even, and sometimes I feel like it's even more important when you feel like you have nothing to be grateful for, when things are stacked against you, when everything seems to be going wrong. Sometimes I feel like that's the time when, if you can find anything to be grateful for, whether it's the smallest little thing, I think it could be a huge benefit for you and your mental state in that moment. And it's not always easy. Like, it's a lot easier to think about all the stuff that's going wrong, right? And all the things that you are, are that bum you out, or all the things that are negative. But I think if you can find something that you're grateful for in those moments, I think it's a huge service to yourself. Like, I know I've done that for myself before, and it's like, man, I've been really negative and ungrateful for a lot of things. Like, what am I actually grateful for? And then you start listing things and it starts snowballing. It's like, oh yeah, I have a lot of things that are going well for me right now. And I'm so focused on these negative things that it causes me to lose sight of the things I'm thankful for. So, I think for myself, after that little rant, I think, like, obviously I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for, all the normal things, health and having a job. And I mean, honestly, like, I'm grateful to be doing this. Like, this is just a fun thing that I have the ability to do. You know what I mean? Like, I have the time and the ability to do this, and it's just something I love doing. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just grateful for, I don't know. I guess I'm just grateful for right now being in a really good position in life where, even when, I guess, to my point earlier, even when things are going a little bit crazy with kids and some of the chaos that comes with that, like, when I really take a step back and I can look at life and everything that's going on, even in the midst of the chaos, I can still find things to be grateful for. I guess in a weird way, like, that's what I'm thankful for, is that there's so much that even when things get negative, you can still find something.
Yeah. Love it. That's good. Yeah. I think I'm definitely grateful for, I mean, I can list a bunch of, material things. I've just been very fortunate and blessed this year. I worked my butt off, but things can be taken away from you. The things that can't be taken away from you are what I'm most grateful for. And that is just people in my life. I have really good relationships with people that are close to me. And we really all spend time together, like, no matter what kind of group of friend or circle I'm in or who it's with, like, we spend time together, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for just, my family too, my sister and my dad. I'm grateful that my nephew's here. My sister had a rough go around with her first pregnancy with my niece, who passed away in the hospital when she was 6 days old. And then they had a hard time getting pregnant. And then so my nephew is now, I'm going to do the math wrong, 15 months, 16 months. Anyway, he's, and he's doing great. So just the little things like that. I'm just great. My dad is the sweetest man in the world. Anyone who's listening to this who knows Lloyd McCollum knows who that is. And so I'm very grateful for him. And I'm more so in my life grateful for people than things. Like, of course, I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. So I'm not trying to look, past all that, but just it's super important to have people in your life, like in your corner, on your side. And so that's what I'm grateful for. And, just, yeah, I think that's all I got. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That even, just to piggyback off that too, I will say I'll give a special shout out to my mom, because I do feel like I mentioned her before as far as the dishes and stuff like that, but it's been interesting for me, like some of those life lessons that you learn early on, and the values and things that she instilled in us, and the work ethic and stuff like that, to see it come full circle now that I have my own kids, and you see where those things really paid off, and the things that she shared and taught. I think it's been a huge blessing that you don't always think about, but like, again, when I take a step back and look at everything, and you realize the influence that she's had, and the leadership and all that stuff in our lives, it's been it's something I'm very grateful for. And I think even more now, again, now that I'm a dad, like you see different, I guess, sacrifices or things that she had to make, just on a daily basis to make sure that we were raised the right way. Like that's been a big thing for me lately. So definitely shout out to my mom for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Our list could go. I mean, I could go on and on and on about what I'm grateful for, but in totality, friends, family, I know it sounds cliche, but it really truly is like that's priceless, because those are people, and that's hard to find. Yeah, absolutely.
Am I included in the friends there, or like are you thankful for your podcast host, or
my co-friend? You mean
your co-friend? Anybody who's not familiar with that, that's a friend who you're basically friends with because you work together. And so I kind of feel like the podcast falls in the same category. It's like, we wouldn't be friends without this podcast.
Exactly.
So
yes.
So
basically, grateful that you're my co-friend. Yes.
I am thankful for your dedication to the show, and over all these years, and for thankful for not quitting yet. So thank you so much. Oh, by the way, before we get out of here, again, I don't have any connection suggestion today. So
I'm slacking on my crumble cookie effort. I have not gotten any yet.
Oh, this week they have a s'mores cookie.
I gotta get some this week. Maybe I'll get some tomorrow.
I made s'mores French toast the other day. It was delicious.
Oh my gosh.
Very sweet. Very sweet. But it was good though.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was delicious. But no, what I was gonna mention, your birthday's tomorrow.
My birthday is tomorrow. So I'm gonna get crumble cookie tomorrow. I think that's what I'll do.
Nice. Well, happy birthday to you. What, 25 now?
You. Yes.
Yeah.
How did you know? How did you get?
Yeah. I didn't want to.
For just the 9th year in a row. That's basically.
You're lucky I can't do math, so I don't know what that means. No, I'm just kidding. I know. I say we're the same age. So, but yeah, happy birthday to you. And when everybody hears this, it will be your birthday was last Tuesday. And so hopefully it was a good one. And
hopefully I stuffed my face with crumble cookie.
Crumble cookie? Yep.
That's all I want in my life. That's it.
Crumble cookie?
On my birthday, yes.
There you go.
Last year, I have a pattern of on my actual birthday, I don't do much, but the weekend surrounding it and the day, I'll do things with my friends. Because on a weekday, it's just, we got work the next day. We just don't. But last year on my birthday, I literally just had by myself a bathtub and wine. That was perfect. And tomorrow, I think it's just going to be crumble cookie. Perfect.
There you go. That sounds pretty good. That's how we're getting to that age that we're at. Because what?
That's all I want.
sounds amazing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, awesome. Well, I hope you have a good birthday. Enjoy it. And Deb, where can they follow us?
You guys can follow us on Instagram at Connectable Podcast, Twitter at Connectable Pod, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yep. That's it. We don't feel like doing anything else. So you can find us at those places.
If you feel like watching us talk and watching all of this happen, go for it.
Yeah. Maybe do that, because I post these on YouTube, people. I don't say that just to be, to have fun. No, I actually post these things so you guys can watch this. You can see our expressions. I'm not speaking for Deb. I get for myself. I get nothing to look at. I'm sorry. I've said it before. If you're expecting one thing and you get this, I'm sorry, but this is just how it is. So that being said, still watch our videos, still give us a little thumbs up because we would appreciate that. Leave a nice comment. That'd be cool. And yeah. Oh, and also if you can give us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, that would be fantastic as well, because I think we're still shy of 20 and we've been on, I think 16 or 17 for a while. Yeah.
All right.
So just help us get to 20. Deb, let me ask you this. First of all, 2 questions. Do you subscribe to the podcast?
Yes. I think so.
Okay. So that's probably not.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And then have you given us a 5-star review and a rating and review?
That I have not done. But we got to make it genuine. Isn't that biased if I do it?
Heck no, I do it all the time.
You do? Okay.
For all of our podcasts? Yes, I'm the first one that's left a review. I'm like, this podcast is dope. You should listen. I have no shame in that. 5
stars. Okay.
And you're an author.
I know. I could write a paragraph. No one
could. I'm not even asking for a paragraph. You could just say, oh, this is awesome. I don't care what you do. This is awesome. 3 words, done, 5 stars. Just, I would be thankful if you wrote us a review.
Okay. There you go. Now I got to do it.
I was gonna say that was like a long way of saying I'm not going to do it, but I'm sorry you feel that way. All right. Anyways,
you just got to keep asking me, make sure that I did do it. That's it. Just hold me accountable.
I'm not. When have I ever done that? I'm not going to do that. There's been people. Yeah. There's been so many things that I've tried to get Deb to do over the years that she's like, yeah, it'd be fine. And she never does it. So no, I will not do that. I'm not your babysitter. I was just hoping it would come from a place of love for this podcast, but apparently not.
I mean, I basically babysit for a living, so someone's got to babysit me. Yes.
It's not going to be. I bet Krista Rose doesn't have to deal with this crap. Babysitting you. All right, let's get out of here. You guys have a good Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable podcast.